first started, that was that moment of silence, not being able to actually talk. Wait, do you remember one time we did get a ride from a young man? Did you remember that?
No. Episode 1: The Silence We Inherit. Hi, my name is Lili Polkam Sengchatalangsi. I'm a refugee from Laos, a mother, a biotech leader, and now podcast host and soon to be author. My life began with the crossing of the Mekong River, carrying silence that shaped much of who I became. For years, I tried to succeed in systems not built for me, carrying the weight of family sacrifice, cultural duty, and unspoken stories. This podcast, GoldTree Co, presents Rooted and Becoming, is my offering, a place to break the silence to honor the resilience we inherited, and to create a space where our stories can heal, inspire, and transform. The podcast is the entry point. It gives you stories and conversations that opens doors in your heart. Each episode over the next 12 months is like a mirror reflecting back the struggles and strengths that so many of us share. But I didn't want to stop at storytelling. That's why I created companion worksheets and tools. Pause this video and download your free copy of the companion worksheet now before we begin. After you listen, you can take those reflections deeper, writing exercises, prompts, and practices that help you connect the story to your own life. After each episode, I host a live community Q&A circle where we share more stories in a safe space. I'll post those details soon, so be sure to click subscribe for more details. The Rooted and Becoming podcast isn't just something you consume. It becomes something you practice. Month by month, you're not only listening to transformation, you're living it. And over time, these small acts, journaling, reflection, sharing with community, become stepping stones toward healing, self-worth, and a sense of belonging that is rooted and becoming resilient and lasting. Before we begin, I want to invite all of us, myself, my guests, and you listening, to take a moment to arrive fully in this space. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Let's take a deep breath together. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, inhale, filling your lungs with presence. And exhale, releasing whatever you carried here that no longer serves you. One more time. Inhaling with strength. Exhaling heaviness. This is our space for healing and understanding. A space where silence is met with compassion, where truth is honored without judgment, and where every story matters. As we begin this conversation, may we carry the intention of listening deeply, speaking honestly, and remembering that even in the hardest truths, there is hope and possibility. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. Now let's begin. This is episode 1, The Silence We Inherit. It feels right to begin this journey with someone who knows my story from the inside out, my sister, Noonie Thibodeau. She is part of the river that carried me, part of the silence we both inherited, and part of the resilience that made survival possible. In this conversation, you'll hear not only about survival and silence, but also about the bonds of sisterhood, memory, and what it means to finally give voice to the stories we once kept hidden. Noonie's story bridges resilience, creativity, and engineering brilliance. Born in Laos, she came to America as a child refugee after the Vietnam War, carrying only the clothes she wore on the plane. From those beginnings, she built a remarkable path, earning her mechanical engineering degree from San Diego State University, going on to work as a test engineer, quality engineer, and now manufacturing and production engineer, where she leads with precision, problem solving, and innovation. Yet beyond engineering, Noonie is an artistic creator whose heart lives in the world of Chinese and Japanese brush painting. Her work spans rice paper, silk, fans, glass, and murals, each stroke revealing not only her connection to nature, but also the resilience of her Lao heritage. After a life-saving liver transplant in 2015, Noonie found her way back to art with renewed passion, painting birds, flowers, and landscapes that remind us that beauty and hope always finds a way. She is also a devoted wife to master furniture maker Craig Thibodeau, a loving mother of 2 young adults, and a community volunteer with organizations ranging from Pro Kids and the California Ballet Company to artists around the world. Her story is one of transformation, healing, creating beauty through both science and art. Please join me in welcoming my sister, my friend, and an extraordinary human being, Noonie Thibodeau.
Thank you so much for having me for your podcast. I absolutely am thrilled to be here.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm so excited to have you. Oh my goodness. And do you know what today is?
Yes, today is it's very emotional, but we've been here for so long that it's now called home. Yes.
48 years.
Years. Yes, I can't believe it. 48
years.
years.
I can't, yes, September 28, 1977.
Yes, that's right.
That's
Refugee.
right.
That's right.
Happy Refugee Day.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yes.
Welcome to the US Day. Yeah, we're recording today, which is September 28th. It definitely has special meaning, and it has even greater meaning to have you on the podcast. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
You're so sweet. I love you so much. I'm just super blessed and super honored that you are my first guest. And I hold special meaning, as we talked about, that it's the anniversary, the 48th anniversary of the day that we arrived in the US. And episode 1, The Silence We Inherit. I would love to ask you, like, when did you first realize your inner child needed to be heard or healed? When did you feel silenced?
I think when we first came here, everything was all new, and the language we don't even speak English, and just having to learn another language, that felt like I couldn't speak. I couldn't tell people what I wanted. I think the only things I've learned from Dad was, because Dad was speaking English, was just nod yes, nod no. Those were the yes and no things that I picked up when I was coming to America. You know, when we first started, that was that moment of silence, not being able to actually talk. I recognize that more now. But now it's like, oh, I can talk because I speak English all the time, communicate with people, and get things done and be heard. But the time we stepped here in America, I felt silence. Yeah.
That I could definitely relate.
And nobody knew our story. We couldn't tell anybody. But now I look back, it's like, okay, wait, I wasn't heard because I couldn't speak. And I think having a voice has a purpose, can help other people to be humble, to be able to give back. I think that's what I'm hoping, is that I can take what I've learned from my past and use it for the future, and spread goodness.
Absolutely. And I've seen you grow over the years, being blessed to being your sister and your younger sister, because you're number 3. I'm number 4. For those of you who are listening in, our parents came with 5 daughters, and so sometimes we go by the number in terms of ranking and order. And so I'm number Noonie is number 3.
Three.
Yeah.
Number three.
And so, and I've watched you pretty much my whole life, and you've definitely inspired me in many ways. And how have you seen, as you started to gain your voice and kind of reclaim that, how did you see that change and shift? When was the first memory? Can you share that? Can you think back of that first memory where you did speak out for yourself?
I think when I got to see that mom and dad were helping other people that were also refugees, they brought they helped the community, and I believe dad was very good at speaking and getting people to where they need to be, like getting them a job, helping them with getting an apartment, being able to read and sign documents. And I think seeing that my parents worked so hard, I wanted to be like them. And so I took it upon myself to do well in school, try to learn as much as I can, and also learn from my siblings. I know my sister Molly was here when she was a lot older, so it was harder to learn ESL. Whereas when you're younger, you could pick up faster because your brain just works faster. And I think that's what luckily happened to us, is that as we were younger, we could pick up things much faster, and we used it to our best knowledge. And picking that up, I realized that I wanted to learn how to write my name in Laotian, and my dad taught me that. And that's the one thing I enjoy, is just being able to write my name in Laos. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, and what I've seen just in observing you over the years is you not only excelled in school, tapping into STEM, but you also had a very creative side, which I always admired. Can you kind of walk me through, because not a lot of people, and I mentioned this in the intro, but you've had a life-changing moment in your life. And you have shared with me, if it's okay, if I can share just in terms of what happened. Can I share a little bit? Is that okay? Yeah, I know I mentioned it a bit at the beginning, but you're a liver transplant recipient. And when you gave me that news, I was just devastated. I wanted so hard to support you in any way. And I admired how you handled it with such grace, with such strength and courage. And you've talked about how you used that experience to tap back into your creative pursuits, your creative practices. And was that when you went back to art? I always love talking about your art and with folks, because you do a variety of types of art, including like wood working. And you could probably explain it a lot.
No, that's all. No, that's all right.
So, I mean,
Sometimes it's
yeah.
cutting pieces of wood and make it into a shape. I've done that before, scroll cutting.
Yeah.
I made a little background scenery of the desert for my in-laws for Christmas gifts,
Yeah.
because they're like handmade gifts. So that's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, over the years, you've gifted all your siblings and friends with beautiful pieces of art. And I still have them and continue to have them decorated around different areas of my home. And so thank you so much for those gifts. And did you fall back into that practice, or did that shape your healing? And just would love to hear your thoughts on what kind of tools and practices did you use to kind of reclaim and to be visible again, and not to be silenced.
I think some skills that we have are something you work towards like every day to get better at things. And I found out that on dad's side of the family, they love to paint. Uncle,
Uncle A.
Uncle A and Uncle Dal, they both paint with no type of education. They just took it upon themselves to just draw natural. It came natural to them, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, 100%. I've always loved their work, and they would paint huge murals, I remember. So I tend to believe that you got that gift, that talent from that side of the family. When did you first started painting? Was it after your surgery or was it well before? I want to say before because just because you were making rocking horses and all sorts of you were very crafty in terms of knitting and sewing and I think you it's really hard to
Mm.
pinpoint like one talent that you have because you
Oh,
have
I was
so
going to tell
many
you, I think in
aside from
yeah,
baking and being able to
yeah,
yeah
we were so blessed at Grant Middle School to have cooking, sewing classes, yes, typing, and
yeah
I just like those classes. So yes,
yeah
and also mom would do silk, or mom would bring work home, and we would help her. And that's part of the reason why I like about mom is that she can adjust well with any type of job that she does. She just excels. Whatever job she does, she excels.
that's so true. That is so true. I'm glad you brought that up. I definitely would you say mom is one of your inspirations for being able to do so many different things and pivot in life?
Yeah. Do you remember she sold clocks at the swap meet? Did silk. I mean,
I
she just
remember,
did so many things. She solder.
yeah.
Who knows a mom that knows how to solder? And mom also
I
is a QA. She did QA for Solon's Electronics, pins and connectors.
That's true.
She's just phenomenal. I picked it up from mom. I don't know
Yeah.
what else.
Jack of all trades. A jack of
Yep.
all trades for
Yeah,
sure.
she's one smart cookie. Mm.
You know, speaking of mom, I mean, she was hustling and helping her mom out in Lao markets back in Laos, like, busy streets, selling food items and snacks. And she definitely knew how to pivot in life and created a lot of natural talents in terms of cooking and, like you said, working with her hands. I think she's very creative. She's a very creative person. But yeah, so speaking of where you got your natural talents, I think definitely mom has had an influence in how we developed our talents. Like I think in terms of I would say hustling, being able to hustle was something mom taught, working hard, grit, dad as well, for sure, 100% dad, for sure. But
Oh yeah.
mom knew how to kind of find opportunities. Do you remember when we first came to the US, it taught me a lot about being humble. I remember taking getting on the bus with mom and you. I think the other sisters, Molly and Monica, were in school at the time. So perhaps we weren't in school yet, or it was during the summers. But I just remember going and collecting recyclables, taking the bus route and going and collecting recyclables for like the day. And then we would just earn some extra like petty cash kind of, money so we could buy groceries or whatever. Do you recall that?
I do. Those are the good old days.
Oh, the good old
Where
days.
I have to say good old days because you can get a drumstick for 10 cents.
A drumstick. You talking about KFC?
No, ice
Mm.
cream. Ice cream.
Oh, yes,
10 cents for an ice cream bar.
yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
was
Oh my goodness.
It was
Yeah.
15 cents for ice cream at CVS, or actually
Oh
not
no, it
that.
was much less than that.
15 cents and then 30 cents and 55 cents for a triple cone. I just couldn't remember.
Right. Well, back then it was Thrifties.
Oh yeah, that's what it was,
Back
Thrifties,
then
yes.
it was Thrifties. Oh my goodness. And I'm still a Thrifties fan. Are
Hmm.
you? Do you
I am.
do they have Thrifties out in Virginia?
No, they don't, but I remember seeing one in California. Yeah, I remember
Oh yeah, they
Thrifties, yeah.
still well I think they got bought. I want to say it's Rite Aid.
Rite Aid or Walgreens, I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they still have their ice cream, which I'm so grateful for because
Oh yes.
I love the coconut pineapple is my all-time favorite.
And you
And yeah, which
and
did
you do you remember mom making coconut ice cream? She makes the best.
what? I do not remember her making coconut ice cream. Well, okay, she's done like she does bake and cook very well, but I don't remember coconut ice cream.
That's strange because I just remember her making coconut ice cream.
Really? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
because I fell in love with her lasagna when she made it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's jack of all trades for sure. Yeah, I fond food memories with mom for sure. So just going back, you mentioned your earliest memory has been just observing dad and mom and helping the community. And I remember our growing up, our door was always open. It was like, I think the idea of locking your door, we just don't lock. I'm sure that we lock it now.
Probably did, but it's
But
always open.
it
It
was
was open, and I remember growing up, you were the entrepreneur
me.
because you would knock on people's door and ask if we could sweep their porch to make some money. Do you remember doing that?
Maybe a little like vaguely.
Okay,
I do.
vaguely, we've gotten quarters, so you realize a quarter is a lot at that time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Was this off of
The apartment on Broadway.
Broadway? Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes. Broadway. I do remember that. Those were very humble beginnings for
Hmm.
sure. I remember our first Christmas there and just a lot of memories from every place that we moved. Because we did a lot of moving. I remember that for sure. Now, just another question just to come off of like what we just talked about with having that open door, being able to find your voice and to help others. How did that moment in life, like where you started feeling a sense of self and having agency, how did that change your relationships and who you are and who you identified as?
I think part of that was dad. He wanted us to get the best education, and they didn't have to tell us because they were very busy just working. And I think my observation with them is that they work hard, and they never had to tell us to do homework. We just did it. I think, and also dad and mom would always ask us for help because we gotten better through the years with going to school and learning the English, the correct grammar, that kind of thing. It really helped them. And they came to ask us for help sometimes. And that
That,
just ring a bell. Yeah, it just made a sense of purpose. Like, okay, what I'm
yeah,
doing and what I'm learning at school is actually helping mom and dad.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, there was a moment because we both, just as a family, when we came to the US, dad was the one that spoke English, really. Mom spoke very little, if any. But dad, because of his work with the US Embassy and he was able to read and write somewhat and have a job. I mean, he was working in the warehouse for Solon's Electronics, if you recall, and helping
Oh, no, he
them.
was actually working for Judwire.
Sorry.
Judwire.
Oh my
No, you're
gosh.
good. No, you're good. No,
Let
mom worked
me
for
let me
Solon's.
repeat that. No, you let me repeat that. Yeah,
Okay.
dad, you're right. Dad was working managing their warehouse with Judwire. Absolutely, absolutely. And there was a moment that shifted where he was working a lot, and we didn't have a car for a while, so he was walking or taking the bus, and we would just get around walking. I think walking. We did a lot of walking as kids, right? We
Yes,
did
we
a
did a
lot
lot
of
of
walking.
walking.
We didn't have
Even
bikes.
groceries. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and we'd take the bus.
Take the bus.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we were very street smart in some ways.
Wait, do you remember one time we did get a ride from a young man? Did you
I
remember that?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
I must have been
Yeah.
traumatized. I can't remember. Wait, you
Okay.
tell me. Wait, what happened?
There's this, he's probably like in his 35, 40s, an older gentleman, and he saw a mom with all these kids carrying groceries. So he said, I
Oh,
will help you. I would take you to where you live. Mom said, no, 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 no.
this is
And
when we
then,
were living near the swap meet,
no, no,
right?
no, this is
This is when
Broadway.
we were
This is
still
when
on
do you
Broadway?
remember the place we went to go get groceries is the one that has a little cow, the little
Yeah,
animal
yeah, yeah.
outside?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes. So one day, I guess, I don't think it was raining, but he just saw us and we
Oh,
looked like we were carrying a lot of heavy stuff. You, myself, and mom. And so he said, look, I'm just gonna take you guys, all of you, and then drop you off. Mom said, no, 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 because she didn't speak English.
yeah, yeah.
And he said, I'm not gonna harm you guys, those stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, and I think Dad told us not to do it next time. So
Okay. I thank you for sharing that. That memory was tucked really far, far away because I don't remember, and I think I would have been terrified thinking, I mean, thank God for good, kind people out there that didn't do harm to those who clearly needed, some help, right? And that was over a mile.
because I think back then we didn't use the bus. We didn't know it was free.
Well, I mean, technically it's not free, but I mean, it was much
Well, it's
more.
free for the kids, but the adults had to pay, I think, like a quarter or something, or 50 cents
We just
at
didn't
that
know
time.
how to
Yeah,
navigate.
we didn't know.
Mom didn't know how to, yeah. I mean, growing up, it in some ways early on, it was kind of like blind leading the blind, like removing dad because he was always at work. We were all learning at the same time, which, has its own struggle. So at the point where going back to what you said, there's a moment when we were learning and then it started shifting in terms of how we could help our parents and mom in particular, being able to speak on her behalf. And I see it now as well, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of immigrants probably experience this in terms of being able to, a lot of that burden kind of shifts onto the younger kids who might be learning another English, language quicker, picking things up
Yeah,
because
the kids pick up stuff so quickly, and
and
whereas
plus
if
we're
you,
in school. Also
yeah,
in school,
mhm,
right? Yeah.
you're right. I mean,
Mhm.
we learn as much as we can from our parents, and I think at one point Dad told me that it's out of his learning, capabilities. Like this math, I can't help you with it, but you got to ask your teacher for help. And I think that's where I would always ask the teacher for help. You know, even though I was shy, even though I
Mhm.
was shy, I would still go and ask for help or get the help that I needed.
Well, kudos to you for doing that because not a lot of people, even folks who may speak English very well, that struggle with school, have the courage to go and ask for help. So kudos to you for doing that at such a young age. That's something that I definitely, teach my kids and but to think, that extra layer of fear and dread, right? Like you want to ask for help, but you might not know how to ask for help or how to say and ask for help in English. When you started to feel more comfortable in speaking English and reclaiming your own voice, being able to ask for help and just engage with your teachers, was there a time that just shifted you in terms of your confidence or, was do you remember a time when you're like, I can do anything. Like I am heard. I am, like I am Noonie, hear me roar. Did you ever
Funny,
feel that moment?
I did in the second grade when I had Miss Howell, no, Miss Roynon. She's my second grade teacher, Miss Roynon, and I performed a Laotian dance. Actually, I think Molly did my hair. Mom had the outfits for me, and I think it was Molly that taught me to dance, or Mom. I can't remember one of them, but it did. But they had music for me, and I actually performed in my class
Mhm.
Laotian dance. And you know how you count the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went in circle doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, and I forgot to count, but I
Oh,
must have made. And so I went oops, and I turned around, I did the other side. But I was surprised that I remember that part because I know growing up, people would have Cinco de Mayo and they would have the Spanish kids dress up and do their dance and that
yeah.
was and that was really nice to see. They did that for the whole school. And then
Oh,
I just did a small little talent show for my second grade class only. So that was interesting. I remember that part.
oh my goodness. Wow. I clearly I wasn't in the class with you, but how wonderful. I do remember growing up doing cultural dances when we were young, and then even through college, I was also doing that at UCSD. I'm so glad you brought that up because I see that also transcend into how you've raised your kids and how amazingly talented your kids are in the creative space, in the science, as well as just like working with their hands. Because your daughter did ballet pretty much all her life, right?
Yes, she did. Well, she did ballet when she started when she was 3, and then when she turned 5, she got stage fright.
Oh, really?
She did. She got stage fright and ran back inside. And so I gave her a break, and then we decided to do the Laotian one because it's more not so centered on, 5,000 people watching you on stage at the Civic Theater.
Ah,
So I took a step back and we went to the temple, and she got to dance with the Laotian community kids, and that worked better. She gave her a little more confidence. And then and then when she turned 7, she asked to go back to ballet. So she
oh,
did both Laotian dance and ballet.
yeah, it's such an honor to just watch her dance and perform, and to honor the Lao heritage, as well as when she was performing in the Nutcracker for how many years. It's such a fun thing to go watch her. And even Darren, your son, did a little bit of that as well. So both your kids share, I think, that natural talent that you've passed down. So that's wonderful. I want to pivot to another topic. I'm to share tools and practices that helps you begin that conversation when you were young, when you were like, you didn't know how to speak English, and you saw the courage that mom and dad embodied, and how they lived their life and in a foreign land. I mean, are there any tips that you would share with folks going through it now? Because there are many folks who are being displaced and trying to find a new home, establish new roots. Can you give any sort of kind of tools and practices that has helped you?
I think the best tool for that particular moment that I can think of is making sure that you support your mom and dad first. And after you support your mom and dad, the best thing to do is reach out to your community. That's your school, people around you. It could be church, or it could be the temple.
Oh, you just cut out right there when you said the temple. Okay, can you go ahead and repeat that once more?
Okay. Be very supportive of your parents. Engage with the community. It could be school, community, or people that you're surrounded with. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I know there's a word for that. It's I can't think of the word right now. My brain's fog. Let me see. I know before we didn't have a community, but I think when we lived at that Broadway house, we made a connection with people. We made connections with a Filipino family, a Black family. We surrounded ourselves with people, and that bond, and talking to them, and having good conversations.
Yeah.
Having good conversations with people in general actually helps us with our daily lives, because they might know something that we don't know. And I think that's a good. It's like mom, when she didn't know there was a job at Entrepreneur Inn. That's where mom was the maid. After that, she had connections with other people just from talking to people.
That's a good point. Yeah, I remember mom sharing a story with us that when we would walk to the market with her, and she didn't have much money, and she wanted to reward us for being helpful, and mom being also a lover of sweets, she bought a box of cookies. It's like, if we get back home and we get our stuff done, our work done, she will give us some cookies. And so we made it all the way back home, and she looked at the box, and it was a box to bake cookies. So when she opened it, there was flour, and it was to bake cookies, but there were cookies on the box. She thought that there were actual cookies already baked for us to share. And so what she ended up doing was she went to one of the families that we met, the Filipino family, and forgive me, I don't remember their name, but
The Dulays, yeah.
oh my goodness, look at you. You have much better memory. Dulay, that's what you said? Thank you. Thank you to the Dulays. She went up to Mrs. Dulay and literally just used her hands and pointed to the box, like, I give you the box. And then she does this with her hand. She told me, she's like, she just kind of like split it in half, like, You go bake it. I'll give you half. She couldn't say any of that.
Oh, yeah, that's
She
hard.
said, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, because, and I don't think she bought, she might not have gotten eggs. I don't think she had eggs. I don't think she had anything other than the flour in the box.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, Mama Dule went and baked it and gave her half of the cookies, and we were all happy at the end, and she made a friend. So I think it's just as you mentioned, community and finding community and not being afraid to, even though you don't know the language, to go out and just create that community for yourself. And one thing that I learned throughout my years, 52 years, is to create your own community, especially, if you don't feel like you belong or whatnot, try to create that community for yourself. And it could be with the people that are in your immediate area. It could be with people who are at school or at work, but creating your own community, however that looks like, however colorful that looks like, is going to give you a sense of grounding. And I think that's helped me in my life. So would you say that your message to others is similar?
Yes, it's similar to that. Yeah.
Noonie, I'm super excited that you are my first guest, and love an opportunity for you to share one message or truth with the audience, something for them to take away with them. What would that message be?
Let's see. I did find a quote that I like. It
Oh,
has
yeah.
to do with the fishing. If you teach a boy, you teach an individual, but if you teach a girl, you teach the whole family. And it's a cliche, but I think if we teach our sons and daughters, I believe they will teach the whole family. I thought about different ones to pick from, but for me, it's dream big. Don't stop learning.
I love it. Can we go back to, you said when you
Teach a boy, you teach an individual. But if
Yeah.
you teach a girl, you teach the whole family.
I think that's really powerful. Can we unpack that just for a moment? Because I think there's a sense of passing down knowledge, and not just to your own kin, but passing it to the community as well. And a sense of birth and fertility in some ways, of message and community. That's a very powerful. I love that quote. Can you share where you heard that from?
I thought I might have heard it from you, but that's the thing. I have no idea who it is, but do you remember that? I thought it was from you.
Oh, me. Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to think.
I think there was something that I sent you. The gentleman that had asked this young girl, she had just won a prize, some money. And he's like, "What are you going to do with that money?" And she said, "I think I'm going to buy myself a horse." And then he says, "Are you going to buy a boy horse or a girl horse?" And she said, "Girl horse." Like she didn't stop to think. She immediately said, "Buy a girl horse." And he's like, "Why?" And she said, "Well, then, because I can have more. I can have more horses.
That is correct.
I can have more horses." I think it's the ability to reproduce and all of that. And you see in my life women who pay it forward to others, and to teach their wisdom, pass down their wisdom. I feel like there's a lot of that among women, among sisterhood, and I think it's beautiful. I just wanted to say I love it. And say again your last mantra. Be big.
Dream big. Yeah.
You just listened to Rooted and Becoming, brought to you by GoldTree Co. I want to thank my guest, Noonie Thibodeau, for sharing her story and reminding us that silence may shape us, but it does not have to define us. By breaking silence, we not only heal ourselves, we create a path for others to step into their own voices with courage. As you reflect on today's conversation, I invite you to ask yourself, where in my life am I still carrying silence? And what would it mean to give that silence a voice? If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you would like to support this work, subscribe, leave a review, or connect with me on social media at GoldTree Co. In our next episode, we'll continue this journey with the language of belonging, exploring the ways language carries both shame and healing, and what it means to reclaim our native tongues. Until then, remember, you are rooted in becoming. Stay resilient and worthy beyond measure. This is Lily, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Before we close, I'd love to share a few extra moments that didn't make the main episode, but felt too heartwarming to leave behind, like what inspired the Mekong art series, Noonie's reflection on her liver story, and her fondest childhood memory. These glimpses add so much depth to her journey. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Thank you. So we escaped from Laos in the dead of night, crossing the Mekong, and you painted in your artwork. You call it the Mekong series, and it's so beautiful and healing for me when I look at your artwork, because I know for one who it's from, the art trauma and the healing that you've gone through, and I think it's just so beautiful. What inspired you to do the Mekong series?
I did a collaboration for UCSD. It's a collaboration. We're having a voice. We're telling my story of silence, what we had to go through. And that was nice to be recognized from a grant that they got to select a couple artists from, I think they're mostly from California. But we have different artists from different things. We have a tattoo artist. We have somebody that's in the graphic design. Basically, having people understand what we went through, and I took it as the Mekong series, letting people know, we're the country that's been most bombed because nobody has really talked about Laos because of the Vietnam War, because we lost the war to the communists. So it wasn't something that people really want to talk about. But then, they got a grant to put this art in at UCSD, but at that time we had COVID, so we pretty much just did it online. But it would have been nice to go to the gallery at UCSD and see it, and with a story, and having artists there and being able to share your story, how we came here as a refugee, and that's what I drew.
That's beautiful. So the viewing essentially was all done online.
Yes, all
Okay.
done online.
Yeah, well, this is beautiful artwork. And can you describe the technique and just the materials that you used? Just kind of describe that to folks who are viewing.
Okay. The brush I use is usually from a tail of a horse. So it's meant for flow, like to get less water and more ink, black ink. The ink I use is just like a soot, like charcoal, and I grind that with water until I get to where it's dark enough, and I'll pick up my brush and get it wet, but get the right amount of ink so that I could brush paint. Because on rice paper, once you draw it, it stains it, so you can't go back and redo it. Like if you put too much water, it's going to show a watermark. So it's fairly like a breathing technique, and I practice my strokes. But that's basically what it is. It's just being able to draw it without having to make a mistake, because when you use ink, it's going to spread water, and it takes practice to hold the brush so that you put the right amount of ink on the paper. If you put too much water and ink, it just spreads. So it's not a picture if you put too much. But yeah, it's a learning process, and it's a technique that I've learning from Japanese calligraphy. It's like writing a pencil, but you put as much ink you want in one stroke, and you draw your picture, kind of.
Wow. You can tell that you have to be so intentional and mindful with each stroke, because like you said, there's a lot of room for potential error, right? How long did it take you to do this, and how many sittings did it take?
I think it was just 2 sittings. It's not too bad. But like the other paints that I've used, acrylic or watercolor, you can paint over those and you don't have to worry. But with rice paper, once you put it, you can't hide it if there's a error.
This one is called The Haunting Mekong. Yeah, I think. And the Lao Water Girl, you said that this one was inspired
By my sister, because she would tell us that she would have to go to the well to get water because we don't have any running water. And so, yeah.
I love it. And then the birds. I think you do a lot of birds. I've seen a lot of your work with birds and fish as well. Do the birds have certain meaning to you?
I guess in some ways, because you think of birds, you think of doves, and you know all those songs and things like that. They have meaning, and I think in Laos, if I remember, Molly said that there were so many birds there, you could hear them. You know,
Oh.
so I just think of it as birds are, you know, they're you can't see that they're eating, but you can see them fly. You know,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Oh,
it's just a miracle to see a bird flying in the sky. It's like they're free. So yeah.
so that is the reason why you paint birds. A symbolism is from miracles.
Yeah.
I feel like they have a lot of strength in that they will land on a branch no matter how weak that branch might be, because they believe in themselves and their agency and knowing that they can fly if that branch breaks. And I think it's just there's a lot of symbolism in terms of strength and courage and being brave. This is your betta fish, and I know you have some other pieces of art, the koi fish, and just beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. How did you get inspired to do fish?
I think part of it was because dad took us fishing at a young age. And I've always, and
Yeah.
it's weird because I also like to eat fish. There are some people that love to go fishing but don't necessarily eat fish.
Yeah,
So I grew up where we ate everything, whatever our parents put in front of us. I didn't complain. So
yeah,
it's totally different now with my kids.
that's very true. Very true. Okay. Um, but yeah, I had wanted to kind of touch base on your liver. And I didn't want to go there because
No,
I
no,
wasn't.
no, it's fine. Yeah, I'm doing better. Like they said, the liver is the one transplant that is easy to manage. It's not like the kidney where it's, you know, good for 10 years sometimes.
Mhm,
So yeah, they have high hopes that that my liver, I
mhm.
wouldn't have to have Tacro for life. But you know, I'll just keep taking them just to do that. But eventually, my body will get used to it, and I wouldn't have to use a Tacro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. No, that's yeah, because there was part of me that wanted to touch on your liver, your experience there, because I felt like in some ways, because you were so used to taking care of others.
Kaiser didn't diagnose it right. Because when I went to see the doctor, they said, "Oh, it's okay. It's probably gas from your food that you're eating, broccoli, beans."
Yeah,
Because I remember telling him, like, "Wait, when my daughter went, I lost all the weight and didn't, you know."
yeah,
So but the thing is, blood work didn't show. But if I took a picture of my stomach, it would show that it was starting to grow.
yeah. I
So
mean,
there's the misdiagnosed right there.
yeah, that's definitely misdiagnosed. And I mean, something has to be wrong when, you look like you're pregnant, like
Hmm.
you had,
Well,
and
I was just imagining if what if they took a picture
yeah,
at the beginning, then it would have seen, oh, maybe we
they
can
would have seen there
cut
was a
some of it.
mass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
they would
something
have,
there, and they would have been able to remove it, and I would just
yeah.
have my liver would grow,
Mhm,
back to
mhm.
normal. But it's hard
Right.
to say. It's hard to
Yeah.
say.
I feel like for me, when I went, I if I would go back and tell my younger self is like ask more questions. I would tell my younger self to ask more questions and to be more proactive in that. Because like I remember when I had considered going to get my PhD at UCSD, and I took someone's word for it in terms of whether or not I can roll into the PhD program. And I had asked like if that's something that, I could do. And the person, because I was in my master's program already there.
Mhm.
And at the time they had said, I don't think you can. I think you have to go through the whole process again, meaning it would be like another 4 years essentially of graduate work. And instead of me going and asking the department, for what steps I can take to be considered a candidate in the PhD program, I just took their word for it. Do you know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
I wish I could have just said, like, listen to my gut, which was saying, go get a second opinion, ask more questions. And, I'm grateful for where I am in my life. I don't have regrets per se. What I had wanted to ask you is like, that whether or not that silence, that cultural obedience, we grew up
Mhm.
with to respect our elders, respect our doctors, right? Your doctors are like, oh, you're fine. So you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And so, but you're like, we should have been like questioning and asking respectfully.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I feel like our upbringing, because we were raised to like not talk back, not speak back, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
that that then transcends into parts of life. And
I think part of it is I was proactive, and then I get to the point where something's wrong. If it's not, it just got worse. I think
Mhm.
by that time it was too late because I was taking their word because they're doctors. They
Yeah.
should know what they're doing, right? But
Mhm.
looking back, it's like, because I was proactive because they did blood work and said there's nothing wrong with you.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I said okay,
Yeah. But there
and
was
then
no ultrasound at that moment that looked in
no,
that.
not yet. And
Yeah.
then I think when Craig mentioned there's something wrong, I think, honey, because I was a little bit like had a pouch.
Mhm.
That's when I
Mhm.
went to another doctor and they did the ultrasound. They asked me if I was fat. At one time, I'm like, why? No, I've always been this skinny. They're like,
Mhm.
well, your kidneys and all this stuff moved. They can't find it because of the tumor. And so that's when I went back to Kaiser and they took a picture and then they said that I was, yeah, they sent me to UCLA.
Yeah.
And that's when I found out I had a tumor. And I thought, okay, so you can remove it, right? Like cut off that piece and then it'll grow back. They're like, no, it's a little more complicated than that. So you need a full liver transplant. And that
But
was, yeah, that was a shocker.
well, we've been so blessed that someone actually donated their liver to you. And
Yeah. Actually, I was going to tell you, Matt and Nisa had a friend, a
Mhm.
family friend. Their son had died at polypulmonea, brain aneurysm, while he was at the library.
Oh my
He was
goodness.
18, so they said, he was going to donate his liver to me. And so Dr. Bustel didn't know about that. Yeah. And then that's why when we told him about that, then he bumped up my score only from because I had to go back and get a picture of what my liver looked like.
Mhm.
They went in there with the camera, and that's when I think my MELD score went up to from 16 to I think 25, and 25 was when you needed a liver transplant.
Thank goodness for Dr. Bustil and the great medical team at UCLA, and so blessed that they were able to um, go through that surgery and you came out healing and your body took in that liver and that it was a good match. And 10 years later, right?
Yes, 10 years later.
10 years later, I
And 10 years later, and now I'm back to, health, back to normal health. And I am a production engineer. So, yeah, manufacturing and production engineer. So I'm thrilled and happy to be able to support my family, help my kids through college. So I'm really blessed.
wow, this is definitely a happy ending. And you guys are navigating empty nesting right now, like some of us in the same space. But thank you so much, Noonie, for sharing that. You're in a better space, and you're thriving and taking advantage of every day. I definitely see that in how you live out your day and your life. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure. So before we close out, I know we've been talking about a lot of memories and going down that path. Is there a childhood memory um that you want to share of us, a memory among our sisterhood that you to this day treasure? Because I know I have quite a few of you. I just thought we could just have this moment to ourselves and our viewers to share,
Gotcha.
to provide some levity and inspiration.
I think when we get together, uh, especially for the Lao New Year, Um, I really love just going out there and just dancing with you guys on the stage. I remember mom and aunts and all of us would just dance together. That's something I enjoy doing. It's like going up there and just dancing I've
Um,
had friends, I had friends that asked me, how do you guys do that? I do not know how to dance. And I said, I don't know where I get it from, but I just enjoy going up there and not being afraid to dance. But I'm shy when it comes to talking to people. But when it comes to dancing with you guys, I just go up there and dance. I don't really care. I just do our Laotian dance.
oh my goodness, you and I both share the same fond memories because I do have that memory of you. Like dance like no one's looking. I mean, that's you when it comes to when there's music that we resonate with, and which is, we grew up dancing in the 90s and even till now. I mean, but like R&B, new wave, Stevie B, Bad Boys Blues, CC Cat. I mean, we have so many favorite artists. And I just remember in high school when we did Air Band, and
I
we
remember.
we were with our dear friend and sister from another mother, Kia Sykes, and we did, do you remember the song?
I think I remembered, yes.
Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. Who doesn't love Janet Jackson?
Janet Jackson.
Rhythm Nation.
Oh my goodness. We did Janet Jackson, and I thought we blew the roof off the high school gym. I thought it was great. Anyhow, but we were doing like kid and play and like all sorts of, like dancing moves. We had a whole choreo. Do you remember that? And it
Hmm.
was Rochelle, and we were the Fly Girls, as I recall it, or that's what I called it myself. But anyhow, you have moves, that's for sure. And when people look at you, and you're smart and creative and you're charming and you're not loud. But boy, when you get on that dance floor, you dance like no one's watching. And I just remember when your kids saw you dance for the first time. I thought that was hilarious because I think all those years in ballet and taking them to dance lessons, I don't think they saw you ever. I don't think they ever saw you on the dance floor. And so
That's right. They didn't. I think we were at somebody's 50th birthday, and they say, "Oh, mom, you can dance."
I'm like, where did you get how did you get your moves, right? It's from your mom. That's who you got them from. Oh my goodness. So
Oh.
that's my fondest memories. And I have so many more, but I know I just wanted to share that. And so never stop dancing and be your authentic self. And thank you for inspiring me, inspiring our listeners, and wishing you all the success in everything. Hopefully we'll be able to see each other soon, and you'll be out here in California, or I'll stop by when I'm in Virginia next time.
Sounds good.
And because I want you to see, if folks are tuning in, you could see there's a backdrop behind both of us. We're actually not in the same room. The backdrop is my new podcast room, which again, GoldTree Co presents Rooted and Becoming. And I just want to thank my sister, Noonie Thibodeau, for coming on to my first podcast, kicking off our series for season 1.